Hello and welcome to Nioh. So I've actually been wanting to make a little, you should try Nioh because I fell in love with it the first time I played the demo. I want to say almost 5 years ago, maybe more, maybe less. Hopefully the quality in this game is as good as my Skull ones. I haven't actually tried recording one here and I haven't tested it to be honest, but we'll see how it goes. I mostly wanted to make this kind of video for a brother, or two brothers of mine, who I am trying dearly to get them to play these games. But, we'll see how this goes. So I'll do a little, I guess a little, I wouldn't call it tutorial, just a little info dump of how things work. So, Neo, instead of getting different weapons that get different move sets, like getting the same sword that does two different things, you'll have here on my bottom right, you'll have stances, and each of the three stances will have you attack in a different way with different properties. Like the high stance will be basically your heavy attacks, right? Like your heavy stance to do a lot of damage, do a lot of stamina drain. Your mid stance will be a good in between of what's quick stance and high stance. You'll get good combos, excuse me, you'll get good damage, but you'll still be able to block and roll and everything fairly effectively. Oh, what I did forget to mention, in high stance, you also get, I guess, more resilience when blocking. Attacks will drain less stamina, but when it comes to rolling, you get this kind of clunky roll, and it eats a chunklet of your stamina. Alright, so, and then you also get, eventually, you also get your low stance, which will be quick moves for just about every weapon. They won't always move you around like this ones do, but you'll get some movement, you'll get quick dodging, like nice, good, easy, low stamina, very fast dodging. But the trade-off is less damage and less, what's the word? Less, I guess, guard break. You also, depending on your weapons, low stance and mid stance, with most attacks and most abilities, if you try to attack someone while blocking, you'll bounce off. Whereas high stance with every weapon will always cut through. So you can just keep wailing on someone that's blocking and try to tear through their stamina. You also get this neat little mechanic. Like if you're looking at my stamina bar up there, see how I do a little ching there? Whenever you are running out of stamina, like just eating it, you don't have to be all the way out. You'll click the right bumper, or at least as far as my controller, if you have a PS4 controller or R1, you'll hit it and you'll regain stamina. So that way you can kind of like bring it back and get back into the motion of things without having to worry too much about, oh, now I gotta just backstep and circle around while I'm waiting for my stamina. So you can have almost complete control over when and how you come in and out of like fights and like coming in and out. You can just choose when to come in and out basically. But if you do it, you see there where it fills up, when all the red becomes white and you hit your R1, you'll get what is a perfect key pulse. So that will basically will get you your whole stamina bar all the way back up, and it'll give you neat little effects depending on passives you have. And later on when we fight yokai, they'll I don't really know what it's called to be honest, but they'll kind of have like this yokai realm gunk, and you can purify that if or when you do a perfect key pulse. Whereas if you do just a regular key pulse, you'll get wherever the white bar was, and it'll start coming back up, but you cannot get any kind of perfect key pulse buffs or anything like that, or purify the yokai realm. So, ooh. Also, when you play this game, when you start off, everything hits very hard. So you gotta be on your toes. They do give you the tools to, deal with that. So it's not too bad. Even if you have like slow reaction time, there's still ways around it. Like you don't have to be perfect. So I got some gear. I guess we'll just hit the medium stuff. I'll explain this right now. So, when you go into your equipment inventory, you'll get two different melee weapons which you can use in tandem. We'll get to that when I unlock my other one. Two ranged weapons, and obviously your like arms, legs, head pieces, some accessories. It'll come with passives. Basically everything here will. Like in my mariner pants, you'll get your defense multiplier, the weight. Little bar under the picture is basically, I guess, more of a like I wouldn't know how to explain it. Like a dumbed down, heavy, light reader. If it has like one little dumbbell there, it'll be the light. The two will be medium, and three will be the heavy. And you also get where it says special effects will be will really be anything from like blinding enemies on fire, dealing more damage to enemies who are electrified and crazy stuff. You'll get your toughness, which I'll be honest, I'm not completely in tune to all the mechanics. It's been a while since I've actually jumped in and like kind of min-maxed certain abilities and stuff and trying to get all my stats certain ways, but I believe toughness is basically like the defense. Don't quote me on that, but it's there. You'll get like little description if you move that. Your equipment will also have certain requirements of your stats. Here, I would need one body and one skill to equip this. You can equip items that you don't have the right attributes for, but if you do, see here how it has special effects. Those special effects will blank out and you won't be able to use them. Where right now it doesn't really matter. You can pretty much do like maybe the first four areas without even thinking about it. Hell, probably do more. But once you get to a certain point, maybe even like your new game plus, you'll that'll become almost mandatory. That's where all of your defense, all of your attack, and your build will come out of is basically your special effects and how you min-max, how you combine, and everything. So it's kind of more like a Diablo-ish kind of feel, where it's not necessarily the item, but what the item does that matters. So now, oh, before I forget, you do get skills. You are able to unlock and use every single weapon. So you never have to, oh, this character can only use Tonfas. This character can only use Odachis. You can basically use them all. It's, at least the way I played for the longest time, I would just unlock the one weapon. And that's basically all I would use the whole time. I would usually have two of the same weapon, so I could, there are mechanics where when you perfect key pulse after unlocking certain skills, you can swap weapons and it'll go into an attack. And I would do things like that, but I would usually wouldn't have like a tonfa axe or like a katana spear. I would usually just have the one. But here, you get certain skill points depending on your attributes, and you can unlock all of these. Some are tied behind story progression, so that's one thing to think about. You can't just sit in the first level and grind away and eventually just get all the skills before, moving on. But you can get things that I would personally, I guess, say is more important. Would be things like flux. Like changing to another stance on the successful key pulse increases the amount of key recovered. So if you do the perfect key pulse, and if you swap to a different stance while you're doing it, you'll get a nice little chunklet extra. Or if you get like key pulse heaven, you can activate your recovery full key pulse, and it raises the damage caused by your next attack. Things like that. Uh, there's this one too where you can dodge to activate your key pulses, which also plays into being able to move around and choosing when to come in and out of combat with how much stamina and so on and so forth. There's all these nice little tidbits, and I like it. It feels, I guess, more engaging than just having oh, this is your equipment, this is how you use it. Learn how to use it better without, having some kind of neat little knickknacks to come with it. You also, sorry, you also get little, like you can get magic skills, which is the Nioh magic. You get ninjutsu, which is anything from throwing stars to basically like a revive once you die, which is a quick change scroll. Once your health is 0, you'll come back with like 10 or 15% health, and you fall out of the sky like, oh, I'm back, and I didn't really die. And you can do all kinds of crazy stuff. So, before I get too much into it, let's move on a little bit. Let's try to unlock the second weapon. You do get little, like this little thing. This is usually when a player dies, they'll leave this. And let's say I want, like, oh, I want his axe. I'm gonna summon this revenant. And you're not fighting the actual player, but you are fighting it to an extent where you are fighting their equipment. And I believe, at least, I mean, I'm not sure. It seems like it, because sometimes they'll fight different. You fight them, like the AI, I guess the AI will capture kind of how they were fighting or whatever, and they'll do certain things like they'll mash this ability or they'll mash that ability, and like they'll do kinds of stuff like that. I don't know how that works in its entirety, but it feels like it kind of just tries to copy a little bit what they were doing before they died, and that's how the Revenant fights, you know? And you see here, let's see if I can run him out of stamina. See there. If I had a skill unlocked, I could take advantage of that and hit him with basically like a backstab. He's out of stamina. Other than that, I can just get him on the ground and punch him that way. And these little suckers are... Oh, I upset him. Come back, little friend. Are Kodama. With these, once you have a certain amount in the shrine, like, well, once you just send any to the shrine, depending on their hat, they do different things. So anything like dropping more money, dropping more equipment, or dropping more like what in this one. I guess more, you don't have like an Estus like in Dark Souls. You'll have elixirs, and you can drop more of those since you don't have like a dedicated heal thing. And this is just kind of like small basics. Make like a little thing. If you see on my top left too, there's a little like bird drawing. There it goes. And when it fills up, you can do this thing called living weapon, which when you press triangle and O or Y and B, depending on what controller you have, you'll do this, and you pretty much infuse your weapons with your guardian spirit, and you'll do damage based on their element, and you'll deal more damage, I guess inherently, like raw damage, and your health will turn into a bar that'll be decreasing. That once it decreases, you will have, like, it'll disappear. And you can do neat little things like how I did right now. I summoned my guardian spirit and he did an attack to hit this guy. You can also learn that through Nioh magic, which is kind of neat. I think that's how I did my first playthrough. I wanted to kind of do like an elemental magic build. I think in this one, like in Nioh 1, it's a lot less underpowered. It's in no way undoable, but it's still like, I believe it is very underpowered compared to just, kind of going raw damage. But I had fun, like I picked my element and I was like, yeah, let's do this, and have my spirits and just kind of throw stuff at people and get them all soaked or burn them or whatever it was. And in this game, you also get like a back attack extra damage. Like that's basically your criticals. When you hit them in the back, you'll do extra damage. I believe like 10 or 50%. I could be entirely wrong, but it's a percentage more. And every time enemies die, they have a chance to drop items like these, and you kind of get to play around with this kind of stuff. You get to always play around with different weapons if you want to. And I got I'm sorry, I don't know what it's called. Kusarigami. I butchered that. And they'll attack its own ways depending on what stance you use. You can do different things. like the Kurosanagi, I think is what it's called, is mostly for like multi hits. As you like, you can kind of tell from the way it's been hitting and everything. It has a lot of multi hits, a lot of sweeps, a lot of like little cleaves up and down and horizontally. It's interesting. It's an interesting weapon. I kind of liked it. I just never got into it back when I was playing Nioh quite a lot. I will be making a ton of Nioh 2 content if I get the chance to. I mean, I'm gonna play it for sure, but you know, depending on how things go, I'll probably make a ton of Nioh 2 content, and I kind of hope I do get the opportunity to, because I do enjoy this game. I enjoy it quite a lot. Let's see, to go back to the what my brother calls Stufa. Okay. Ooh, that was a bad move. So, depending how this goes, maybe I can show something else. Ooh, I fell. Ooh, I'm damaged. Ooh, I'm hurting. So if you haven't been noticing, when you hit someone after they have been killed, you kind of like dismember them in these like kind of over the top ways. It's kind of funny. You can poke someone and their head comes flying off. It's weird, but I love the aesthetic. There we go. So that actually went a lot easier than I thought it would. I didn't even need to use living weapon. You can also find weapons with innate elemental abilities. Like I can find like some tonfas with fire, like damage already locked in. You can basically like bless your weapons with elements. You can do it with like poison and paralysis, which in all fairness, as far as paralysis goes, it's so much easier and so much more, I guess, better to do it with things like ninjutsu, since when you're attacking them, you just kind of want to deal as much damage as you can, instead of just trying to paralyze them with a weapon while they're like swinging wild or cleaving into you. Like it'd be easier to just like throw a few like paralysis bombs at them, and once they get that out of the way, like you can, you know, you can actually come in and deal damage instead of, oh, let me try to hit them until they paralyze, and then and then they kind of cleave into you. It's like, oh well, now I gotta use this time to heal instead, you know. Poison, I don't know, I didn't use too much. I hear it's not bad, but I don't know, I just never used it too much. Ooh, that's a lot of frame drops. So here, I'm just kind of giving you like a, this is actually like the first yokai you'll ever meet in the game. Well, no, that's a lie. It's I guess the first yokai you'll meet mid-level. But they're not that bad. They do have some differences. Like, see, his whole stamina bar just came off. Usually most yokais have like a weak spot. Him right now is his horns. If you can hit his horns hard enough, or if you just hit them in general, you can like eat away at his stamina really quickly, no matter what weapon you have or what style you're on. Since that's his weak point, you could just kind of get him to the out of stamina state without having to work too hard into it. Whereas you see now, stamina isn't, oh, that hurt, isn't going down. When he's in his like little yokai puddle, they will regen their like stamina, and they basically like get little buffs. I think they become like, they get like hyper armor, so they can't be hit in certain things, or they just can't be staggered. The point is basically you want them out of that puddle, or you want it purified like ASAP. Unless you're running like a very specific build. There is a skill with a certain weapon, I believe the axe, where if you're in the yokai realm, you actually get like a damage increase. But it's still like, it's a whole different thing. It's like, it's the whole like thing you want to spec into. But yeah, like this is basically Nioh without getting too fancy into it. It's very fun. I would suggest if you like anything like Dark Souls or you like the gear game, like games where you like gather gear and try to make builds, I would suggest giving it a try. It might be to some people, I guess, hard to get used to. Like it is a little bit difficult, a little bit more than I guess what most people are into. But there is multiplayer. As far as right now, the day that I'm recording this, Nioh 2 is just around the corner, like maybe a week away, I think. And this game, from my understanding, Nioh 2 is just a better Nioh 1. So this game might be kind of dead. I would suggest, if anything, starting on Nioh 2. The only big difference would be that Nioh 2 is a completely different story. Like, as far as I understand, it has nothing to do with this one, and other than like small references. So it would be a good jumping off point if you decided you want to, and if you're on PC, like I am, that's that's actually the the I guess not console, but the system it's coming out for in the next week. So it would probably be best to start around that time, since there would probably be a lot of people who've been waiting for it who didn't want to wait to get a PS4 for it, which is not a bad thing because what we are getting on PC is, I guess, the complete edition. Ooh, let's get that. And we don't when we're paying like 40 bucks for it. It's it really is not that bad. Alright, I'll probably just leave a little bit with the shrine, and that'll probably be it. I'm not really gonna play too much into this one right now. Might make another video, I guess, like on more late game mechanics with my other character. Here you can change your guardian spirit. Right now I only have one with this character. But later on you unlock a ton more, and like personally, I always use the ones I thought were kind of cool looking and didn't really look too much into like the abilities they have. But depending on, I guess, what kind of player you are, you'll probably think of it differently. I personally just the first time I played it, I was like, oh, I just want to enjoy myself and have fun. I don't really care if it's harder to kill certain things. Like when I have trouble, I'll swap things around. But up until then, like I'm gonna enjoy myself. But here I have my one spirit. They have their own even special attributes here too that come into you. Later on, you can unlock like a second one, and that one you'll get like one ability from them to come into like, I guess, your stats. Whereas this first one, you get like all of these, assuming you have the amount of spirit required to unlock them. On the bottom, you can see here like the living weapon, I guess, attributes you gain once you use it. So here, like, you'll do attack enhancement, which I'm assuming is literally what it means, how much more damage you do, how much wind damage you do. It says 30, but that's more of like, I want to say, not really the exact amount of damage you're gonna do. Like I think I was doing like 12 or something. I think it's like a percentage of your main damage. Like that's like, I guess, 30% of my main damage is what I'm gonna do. The usable time, which is like 17.2 seconds, which can vary depending on the skills you have, how much spirit you have, and there's a skill specifically from Omnio Magic that whenever you hit an enemy, you gain Amarita, which is this game's version of like souls. And if you are using that with Living Weapon on, you can essentially prolong Living Weapon up until you are done fighting. And these are all the stats they do. I'm not gonna go too in depth into them, only because I'm not 100% on how they are, so I don't want to completely talk out my butt. And in the shrine menu, this is like your bonfire essentially. You have some lock tabs here, but they're for later on. You'll unlock. You can summon a visitor if you have what's called an Ochoko cup, which you can gain from killing revenants. So if you want to like get in and get a buddy in real quick, you can just kill some revenants, cheese them, knock them off ledges, whatever, and offer some Ochoko cups and get randoms to come in. It has a mechanic to lock it so that only certain people can come in, which is also a nice little thing if you want to play with friends and whatnot. There's the Kodamas. Like I think I saved two, right? So I have one increased armor drop rate and one that increases drop rate of materials. And they'll have their own percentages and yada yada yada. If you unlock all of them, you can get like trophies and you get little extra buffs. What else? You can make an offering, which is basically selling things to your shrine to try to get more Amarita. Well, specifically to get more Amarita and to try to get some more elixirs. I know that's what I used to do when I started. I just throw everything into the shrine and just try to get enough elixirs to keep me going. There's your level up, which levels up your stats. Each weapon is governed by certain stats. Even then, there are, I guess, black sheep. There would be some weapons that usually go off dexterity and skill that end up being based off of magic and spirit. That are like that. It's not like a different weapon. It's the same weapon, like a tonfa, I believe. There's one that's essentially governed off of magic, and even then, you can unlock certain skills and certain passives on the weapons that lean it towards a different stat, which is neat. And here you can see, like, let's say I put heart all the way up to 4. You can get some ninja skill points. You'll get Nioh skill points. You can even get samurai skill points, which the samurai is basically your weapon ability points. Have your equipment weight and so on and so forth. But that was, I guess, a not so short intro to Nioh, and it, in my opinion, is very fun. You should give it a try. It's great. Even if you don't try this one, try the next one. I would like I would very much recommend it. It is very fun. And that's basically it. So have fun. We'll see you all next time.